Begin with personal needs. Tuesday, March 7th. You can't take it with you. Someone once asked famous evangelist Billy Graham what surprised him most about life. Now that he was old, Graham was in his 60s at the time. Graham's answer: no question, life does go by quickly. What do the following texts teach about human life here? Ps 49:17, 1 Tim 6:6. Not only does life go by quickly, but when you die, you take nothing with you, at least of the material goods that you have accumulated. That's another story, for when he dies he shall carry nothing away. Psalms 49:17, NKJV. That he or she leaves it behind for someone else to get. Who will get it? Of course, depends upon. Though, of course, not everyone has an estate per se. Most people, particularly as they have worked through the years, have accumulated some wealth. In the end, for those who have possessions at the end of life, no matter how great or small our goods might be, estate planning can be our final act of stewardship, of carefully managing what God has. If you don't have an estate plan that you have created with a will or trust, the states or civil government's laws can come into play. All this depends, of course, on where you live. If you die without a will, most civil jurisdictions simply pass your whether they need them or not, whether or not they would make good use of the money, and whether or not you would have chosen to give a portion to that person. The church will get nothing. If that's what you want, fine. If not, you need to. In the very simplest terms, we can say that because God is the owner of everything. See Psalms 24:1. It would be logical to conclude from a biblical perspective that when we are finished with what God has entrusted to us, we should return to Him, the rightful owner, what is left. Once the death, as we know, can come at any time, and unexpectedly, too, even today. What would happen to your loved ones were you to die today? What, too, would happen to your property? Would it be distributed as you would? In Old Testament times, many of the children of Israel were farmers and shepherds. Thus some of God's promised blessings were couched in farm. For example, in Proverbs 3:9-10, God says that if we are financially faithful with Him, our barns will be filled with plenty, and it is likely that many Christians don't have a barn today. So, we understand that God will bless our work or business if we are willing to follow and obey Him. Read Proverbs 27:23-27. How would you interpret "be diligent of your flocks"? NKJV, for however much the Bible warns against the rich trampling on the poor, or being greedy with their wealth, Scripture never condemns wealth or people's efforts to acquire wealth, provided of course they don't do it dishonestly or through. In fact, the texts for today, in Proverbs, indicate that we should be diligent in our financial affairs in order that we may have enough for ourselves and our family. You shall have enough goat's milk for your food, for the food of your household, and the nourishment of your maidservants. Proverb. How would we rephrase that verse for today? Maybe we would suggest, review your financial records, and determine the state of your affairs. Or do a balance sheet and understand. From time to time during your earning years, it would be appropriate to review your will or other documents and your present assets and update them as necessary. Documents such as wills and trusts are put in place early in the estate planning process in order to be a protection against untimely. The idea is to plan ahead for what will happen to your possessions once they are no longer yours. In short, good stewardship of what God has blessed us with doesn't deal only with what we have while alive but also with what happens after we are gone. Unless the Lord returns in our lifetime, we will one day be gone while our material possessions, whether a little or a lot, will. Hence, it is up to us now to make provisions so that what we have been blessed with can be a blessing to others and for the furtherance of God's work. For riches are not forever. Proverbs 27:24, NKJV. What this thought before us?